All right, good morning to all. We are here mid-morning, November 8th, and we'll take a look at Bitcoin, of course, first here. Now, some interesting things happening here. We may be able to learn something that possibly there's an opportunity for us setting up. But let's get a look at it and see what we can learn from this and where there might be opportunity for us. So we can see here now that, following up from yesterday's video, we just got left hanging. We had all these nice technical areas here where we had the kind of confluence that we look for. Just got left hanging here. So it's front run at the 38, and now we're looks like moving impulsively. We can't be definitive about it just yet, but we come down. This low seems to be a good low for us for potentially the fourth here of this impulsive structure, and now we've returned right back to just shy of the median line, which is really not a surprise. So looking at that, so the easy assumption is simply that we continue here in our fifth, and we're heading up here to, well, here's the algo target, little over 8,000. That seems, if not on this leg, then certainly that this $8,000 level seems to be kind of a nice magnet, a nice round number, and it fits here quite nicely with the market geometry that we're seeing. And we'd also be in sync with some of the fib targets pulling from these swings. So, let's break it down on a smaller time frame and see if we've got a trade setting up. I think we might. But as always, you can't take any trade for granted, and we've got to be conscious of the alternate count that could be there, because we don't know for sure that we're in an impulsive structure here until we get the 4 and the 5. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to go to the hourly where you can see this a little more clearly. Now here's this structure that we have. So we can be fairly confident that we've got a good 3 high in here, and we do get a nice ABC to come down here. Comes, we had I think we looked at this yesterday. We had very close to 100%. It was just a few ticks off of it, and we go to the Vegas wave, and we get this turn here that completes this nice 3 wave. And you can actually, if on the 15-minute, you get a little subdivision here on this C leg, which gives us this low here. Now moving off of that, here's what I'm trying to show you. We can't say for certain that we are impulsive yet until we get a 4-5. So we have to allow for the possibility that an alternate count can be in play here. And that's, I often will mention this, and I want to encourage you to if not on the same chart as I have it here, just for the sake of demonstrating it, but on a chart that would be right next to the primary count, have it on the other side. If you've got your screen, if you've got your layout split, have the alternate count next to your primary so that you're not surprised. So you can see and look at it and say, well, if this is not happening, then likely my alternate is underway. So if you look here, we have the potential for this ABC to simply be an A on a larger degree. And we'd be expecting a 3-wave sequence into a B. Now that we could double top here. If you think about the 4-hour, we're coming up to that median line. We could have a double top action here, or this could just be the correction is complete. And see in blue here, we have a 1, 2, and a 3, and we're looking for the 4. So there's certainly a trade setting up here. We'd be looking to be long here. So here's our 38 to our 50 right here, right? The 4s have been shallow. The potential wave 1 is right here, where I have it either as an A wave or a 1 wave. So we wouldn't want to see that get taken out, although we could end in the diagonals. But for the trade that we'd look for, and for the kind of risk management that is so attractive here, we could be buyers at the 38 to the 50 in that zone. Stop could be tight below the wave 1 high. If you want to give it a little bit more room, you could go under the 65. And here's where we get the tell. Do we come down, put in a fourth, and then go off to new highs to finish it here? Or are we starting something that would be the beginning of a C wave heading down? Because we have the potential for this to be a B wave here. So we have to allow for the possibility that we start into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to complete a 5-wave structure to finish a C on a larger scale. So how will we know? Well, first clue will be whether or not this pivot here holds. Is it a wave 1? Is it an A wave? And if it's going to go into a C wave, we'd expect this to come down here. I'm going to put that in white so you can see it a little bit better. So we'd expect some sort of price action here, but then we'd look for a retracement. We'd look for a retracement here that would fail to get to new highs to finish with a 5. We'd put, and so potentially setting up a 1, 2 before we go down to finish this as a 5-wave sequence into a 3, and then of course a 4, and then finish it with a 5th, coming down here to some of these larger targets where we'd have the alternate price projection from the A projected from the B, potentially our B high here, and we'd go down and finish in a 5-leg sequence to put in a C wave and a fourth on this larger degree. Right? So I'm not saying that's my expectation. I'm saying you've got to allow for that alternate count to be in play. It doesn't change the longer term wave structure. You'll have the opportunity here. I mean, there'll be another buy down here or here at the 38 or the 50. I guess the point I'm trying to make is don't take for granted that simply because we've got this structure here that we couldn't still be putting in a B wave here before completing the C. So how do you know? So myself and the majority of the people in our members room will be looking to get long here. That is the primary count. So I'm not saying don't take the trade, but I'm saying you gotta be conscious of where the trade is proven wrong. So I'm a buyer here between the 38 and the 50. My stop will be underneath the 65. There's no reason to give it any more room than that if this count is going to hold. And I'll be watching closely for this failure here. If we come up and look how it lines up with the median line, potentially you come in for a 2 and then start to head down. Now, that's sort of just a trader's choice as to whether or not you're comfortable here taking that. I think there's no reason not to be taking it there. I mean, the trend is up. We've got an impulsive structure. The 3 was just shy of the 1618. So, we can even see subdivision here into the 3rd, which I'll show you on the 15-minute. So no reason to assume that we aren't going to put a 3, 4, 5 in. That certainly makes sense. But my point is, keep an alternate close by so that you're not surprised by anything. Let's look at it on the 15-minute where you can see it. Now, one thing, so you can see here it is in a little more detail where we get that A, B, C. Now, let's measure that. So let me show you what I was talking about before. So here's the A wave measured from the B. And you see we went to 100, wicked again, but when I see that and it's not right on it, it makes me curious as to why we stopped there. Now we've got the 150% on the pitchfork where it hits it, but we're not right on a number. So it makes me wonder about it. So how can I get more confidence in this pivot as something that I can start projecting from? Well, what I'll start doing is just start pulling fib relationships. I'm going to take this off since we've had a look at that and see if I can find some relationship between these dominant swings to give me more confidence in that low. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my alternate and I'm going to pull from this double top high that I have here. So this technically would be our 3. So we'd go down to this low and I want to project it from here. And lo and behold, right to the 1272, to the tick. So now that starts to give me more confidence in that. Now, this is a secondary fib. I've mentioned it many times before, but 1272, that's the square root of 1618. Algos use it. It's one to be conscious of, and This is kind of that process of finding the hidden underlying structure here. The other thing to consider whenever you've got three pivots is check the pitchfork. Right? So if I put that there, you see, so we get this nice little confluence zone right here. So we get the median line and we get the 1272 right into the box. Okay, so that gives me confidence that this is a good pivot. So I don't know if algos are referencing that, but this is in terms of the underlying structure and the geometry of the market. This gives me good confidence in this as a pivot, and then off we go. So we get this one wave here. It's going to be a slightly different exchange to exchange. I've been trading this on Kraken and hit BTC. So, on HIT BTC, the 1 is a little bit higher here because you had a double top. Here on Kraken, this is not a new high here, so I go with the 1. The 2, we do get a deep 2, which is, not surprising. That was all the potential there for that to go down, which you see we had buy zones down here that were lined up. But it holds for a second, and then we go impulsive. And you can actually see within, now we go to the... let me take some of this off so you can see this a little bit better. Let me take that off, and I'll take this off. Now you can see here from this 2, we get our third, and to give us more confidence that we've got an impulse wave here, we get a 1, 2, 3, 4 into a 5. Now we're shy of the median line, so we don't necessarily know that we've topped here, but it appears like we may have a good 3 in. So let me show you what I mean by this fib projection. So if I take my 1 here, project from my 2, we're just shy of the 1618 for that third. So it makes me want to look a little more closely. So let me pull that off and see if I can find it within this five-wave structure. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull from my 1 here on the 15-minute and project from my 2. Now that gives me confidence here that I've got a good 3 because we go right to the 2618, which is an extreme for the 3. Shallow 4. Up we go for potentially a diagonal 5th. Now, again, we don't know that we're finished with the 5th here because we could continue up here. And that would actually play better for those larger fibs if we're going to get a visit to the median line up here, and then we have the algo target of the -23. So we don't know that the 5th is in here. We could have a finishing diagonal. But right now, if we are going to come down, then we've got this cluster area down here where we can look to be buyers. If I go back to the 60-minute, this is our little pocket here where we're looking for the 3.8 to the 50 for a 4th, and then a push back up to the 5. So again, we can't be definitive about that 3 being in, but we're looking for the opportunity to buy the 4th. Always conscious that if we get a failure swing here, we got to be prepared for that to go down in 5 and finish a C wave on a larger degree. All right, so kind of thing you want to alarm, tee it up, be ready to pull the trigger there. You've got tight risk control. You've got good upside because this, if we're going to go back up to the median line, we got some juicy targets up here. That's 8,100, and nothing says we have to stop there. So all kind of interesting, subtle trading today. You got to be careful in here because there's we just have potential disruptive activity in the background. I've heard some interesting theories as to why the market has pushed higher like this overnight. Everything from what's happening in Saudi Arabia to, the expectation for increased volatility as we get closer to the fork. I mean, it's just, you always have to be, very conscious of, what could go wrong in your trade or where the alternate count kicks in. So, approach with caution, as is always the case, but very good technical trading. No reason not to be in. Just, manage the downside. Okay, that's 15. I'll wrap it there. It gives you plenty to think about.